Friends, if we can stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, everybody, welcome. Kathy, if you can do a roll call, please.
You got it. King?
Present.
Hugh?
Present.
McDonald?
Present.
Lovely?
Here.
Jessica is absent. Bergbauer?
Here.
Carlson?
Here.
Sadek? Present. We have a quorum.
All right, any liaison reports?
I just have a short one.
Yeah, lay it on us.
Just to let everyone know that we have our homes that we're going to now pick the winners. And the deadline was December 31st, so it is over with the competition. So on February 5th, I'll be able to announce who got first place.
Right on. Very exciting. Thank you, Joanne. Anybody else got anything?
Not much for the Summer Art Series other than they have a new name. It's called Lockport Community Arts Council, and a new logo will be coming out soon. I'll share it when we get it out.
Yeah, I think they felt too restricted with just summer. That was because it was just Wendy and I once upon a time, and that was when she had off, so.
Yeah, they definitely work year-round, trust me.
Yeah.
Very good. All right. Anybody else? All right. I can tell you, we had a good meeting with Arcadis yesterday. That was the group that we talked about using to do and write up the RFQ for the, our, I always call it the Chevron parcel, but I have to stop, right? Our Star Innovation District. So, but it was good. We had a little talk about, the value of RFQ versus an RFP, and it looked clear that the RFQ, while it takes a little longer, is better, and you get a wider range of possibilities from it. So, but if there's what do you got, Lance? You want to add to that in some way?
Yeah, I guess, from a timeline standpoint, if we do engage them into these services, we would look for over the next 60 days or so to have a RFQ ready for you all to review and take a look at, and they will be gathering potential bidders as well via their contacts. They have a data center group as a part of Arcadis that works for data center folks, as well as all the people that have reached out to us. As we talk through differences between doing an RFQ and an RFP versus just going to RFP, the RFQ process allows us to see the entire team that they would be bringing to the table. Most of the folks that have contacted us or sent us a plan or something like that have been contractors. They're obviously not going to be the end users. They're not going to be the people that actually supply the servers or manage the servers. They're not going to be the actual company that's in it. And so they would bring a client behind them. Whereas having an RFQ process, if we get 10 teams that submit to us, we'll know all the teams and all their clients that will be a part of it. And it allows us to make a better, more informed decision on who's best capitalized, has the best track record, has built these things in other places before, offers the best value, all the different things that come as a part of that vetting process. And so having that RFQ phase, as opposed to us simply saying, we're going to send this request for a proposal out to 3 people, it expands our horizons and offers us the best opportunity to get the best partner in for the project. And so after talking through it a little bit, we felt that an RFQ was the best way to move forward. We did have a draft of it way a long time ago, before Quantum even became a thing, that we have forwarded them, so they're going to craft their scope and services accordingly, be able to use that, but modify it to match kind of our current direction. So that's kind of the process to date, and we'll keep you updated as we go.
Lance, are the only firm that's putting together an RFQ?
What?
They're the only firm that's putting together an RFQ?
No, they aren't the only firm that's putting together an RFQ. They're basically serving as our representatives, our project manager to craft the RFQ. I worked with Arcadis in the way past in their project management services. What I like about their services is not only do they have a breadth of contacts in the industry through their other arms, but also they are excellent at the project management piece. And if we ultimately get to a point where we select a partner and are ready to move forward in construction, they actually also do program management. So they would be our voices in the field to be able to represent the city's interests as it relates to them starting to get going, getting construction going, and all that kind of stuff, as opposed to city needing to hire staff members to be able to do that. Having somebody with their caliber of experience is going to be vastly more efficient than us trying to find somebody that's willing to come to Lockport to do this.
Right on. Thanks, Lance, appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, well, if there's nothing else, we'll move on.
Mayor,
to
did you
consent.
want the police chaplain?
Oh, my gosh, Ernest is here, too. I'm so sorry, man. Come on up. Please, open us up. I'm going to hear about this from Ernest tomorrow, man.
How could you miss me, you
I'm
know?
so sorry.
Mighty Father, first I just want to say thank you. Thank you for protecting our city, Father God. Thank you for watching over us. Thank you for blessing us. Thank you for your hedge of protection, Father God. And we ask you to come in this meeting, Father God, and rain down blessings, Father God. Lead and guide in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. All right, friends, if we'll move on to consent. So we're looking for a motion to have a consent agenda.
Second.
Renee and Pat, everybody good? All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Then, so tonight we're looking for approval for our committee of the whole meeting minutes from December 18th. Our regular city council meeting minutes from December 18th, the release of a bond and initial acceptance of site improvements excluding the parkway trees for Clover Ridge Unit 3, Phases 1 and 2, adoption of the Star Innovation District Workshop Scenario Evaluation Report, our bills through January 7th, payroll period ending December 22nd and January 5th, purchase of the Ford F-750 Super Cab, we're looking for purchase of the forklift for the wastewater plant, purchase of a sign truck for the street department, and the appropriation of MFT funds in the amount of $456,000 for maintenance of streets and highways. So we're looking for a motion to approve all those.
So moved.
All right, we got Jonathan and Joanne, and we're looking for a roll call.
Got it. King,
Yes.
Hugh,
Yes.
McDonald,
Yes.
Cleva,
Yes.
Dustin, absent, Birdbauer,
Yes.
Bartleson,
Yes?
Saban. Yes. Motion passes.
All right, and then we're looking for a motion for approval for Resolution 25001 and Resolution 25007. This is awarding the 2025 water main replacement and road reconstruction project to PT Farrow Construction and the Phase 3 engineering professional services contract to Civil Tech. So, questions, thoughts, concerns?
Mayor, I need to abstain from Resolution 25-001. I'm trying to sell material on that project.
So that motion, if you just want to separate that
Yes,
motion.
we can do two votes. We'll do a, first one, we'll do 25001, and then we'll vote on 25007. Any thoughts, updates? Anyone got anything? Then we can just, you look concerned.
There was some discussion about, when they were talking about from Hamilton to Garfield, did those issues get resolved? I think Darren had a few.
Yeah, what we ended up doing is originally the project was going to go not all the way to Garfield. We're going to stop at Madison, and we had some of the north-south streets getting done. Instead, after talking to several of you, we decided to go ahead and extend the project from Madison to Garfield, finish all 11th Street, and then next year, we move those projects to do the north and south sections. So next year, we'll be doing some more of the north-south sections, Hamilton, Jefferson, and those, and Washington. And this year, we'll just concentrate on 11th Street itself. And there is actually, I don't know how to,
I'm sorry.
yeah, can you go to the, there's the map for it. So it does go from Hamilton, and it's only all the way to Garfield. So that's all we're going to concentrate on.
Thank you.
All right, so 25001, that is for the P.T. Farrow, or is that civic? Okay. So we're looking for approval then, a roll call for Resolution 25001.
We need the motion first.
Yeah, the motion was...
Oh, we had to make it separate.
Well-
Motion for that. Okay, so we got...
Second.
All right, there we go. We got Pat and
Jonathan
Susan.
and-
Jonathan and Susan.
Sue.
Susan.
All right. Okay, then roll call, please.
Okay, you got it. King,
Yes.
Hugh.
Yes.
McDonald.
Yes.
Galogli's abstaining. Correct, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, Deskin is absent. Bergbauer.
Yes.
Bartleson.
Yes?
Saban. Yes. Motion passes.
All right, then we're looking for a motion to do pass 25007.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All right, JR, Christina, and we'll do a roll call for that.
Got it. King,
Yes.
Hugh.
Yes.
McDonald.
Yes.
Galogly.
Yes.
Deskin is absent. Bergbauer.
Yes.
Bartleson.
Yes?
Saban. Yes. Motion passes.
All right. Any new business?
I have some new business. Once in a while, we always have these decisions that are like hand wringers, and, you know, we go back and forth. Well, at least I do anyways, when they're tough decisions. Everybody knows that Darren wants to go ahead and put term limits on everything, and it's coming up, and he's very passionate about it. I think it can go both ways of why we should have them and why we shouldn't have them. It's just something that I think we should think about, because it's going to be one of those where I think it's going to be a tough one. Me personally, I would hate to think that if we had a term limit and I was on a particular project, that I couldn't finish that project. But yet, on the other hand, if there's something going wrong, or, you know, like we've read in the paper, go south and you're going to have some problems there. If there's something going wrong, that person can leave then, you know, if they have a term limit. But I don't know. It's just a tough one. So he definitely wants to bring this up, so just be ready for it.
Okay, thank you much. Anybody else? All right, then we'll look for a motion to adjourn from Committee of the Whole. Or City Council, rather. Sorry, I had my other one in front of me.
Second.
All right,
Renee was first.
all right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, so whenever you're ready, we can do Committee of the Whole roll call.
Okay, you ready for roll?
Mm-hmm.
All right, here we go. King,
Present.
Hugh,
Present.
McDonald,
Present.
Galogly.
Here.
Deskin is absent. Bergbauer.
Here.
Bartleson.
Here?
Saban. Here. We have a quorum.
All right, my friends, Ben, what do you got for valet services?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Mayor and members of council, this would be an extension of a valet contract, Resolution 25012, for extending valet services with VPA, the Valet Parking Authority, for valet services throughout the downtown in Lockport in 2025 for an amount not to exceed $100,000. We have budgeted gaming funds for this purpose for the last several years, probably since I think it was about 2021. In the last year, we only spent about $67,000. We continue to appropriate about $100,000 because we're anticipating possibly another valet stand at another intersection if a restaurant comes in and gets busy and could have banquets or something like that, that we'd want to have a little bit more funding available to do that. If we don't have a new restaurant open in the downtown, I doubt we'll exceed 75, but I am asking to appropriate for the $100,000 again this year. VPA has done a pretty good job with us following the rules that we had designated when we switched from the other company, using the off-site parking lots that we designate and not using on-street parking unless it's for quick changeovers, but they've done a pretty good job, haven't had many complaints. And when they did, they acted in swift action on one employee. So we're looking to continue this another year. It's certainly more affordable than trying to build another $4 or $5 million parking deck at this time. You know, there's been questions from time to time. Do we get to the point where do we charge the patron? Do we charge the businesses utilizing it? Certainly, we could raise some revenues and costs. The gaming fund probably has a surplus of $500,000-700,000 in its fund balance on top of the $450,000 it brings in every year. We use it for other programs for the city, but right now, I don't foresee any need to make that change at the moment, but we're certainly open to feedback and questions before we proceed.
I have been asked if there's any other way that the city has been able to get reimbursed other than our budget that we put together to cover this.
Sure.
Is there any other funds somewhere that, is being?
You could charge the patrons using the valet, right? So they're gonna have to pay $3 to $5. I expect the usage would go down probably. You could charge the restaurants that are on State Street. You could create something called a BDD, a Business Development District, where all the building owners in the downtown help supplement money. I think for what we're using right now, it's gaming funds, so it's not really, I mean, I guess certainly it's taxpayer money, somebody's paying a tax on it, but it's not in the household word of the name, that it's not revenues from our regular kind of income.
That's what I wanted you to,
Okay.
to
Yeah.
say, okay? Because
The gaming
a lot of
funds.
people don't realize that they're.
The bars that have those gaming stations and gas stations with gaming stations bring us hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, and that's what we're using for it. Yeah. Does not come out of our, what's the word I'm looking for? Regular revenue.
And that's fine, I just wanted the public to know that.
Sure.
Those funds are being used for that.
Right now, it's gaming funds.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic service, so I would totally keep it.
Okay.
And it helps access for sure.
Yeah.
All right, we friends?
Sir, I was going to say one thing, and this doesn't have to be for this contract, but I'd love to talk more about it.
Longer?
Yeah,
It's a
before
one-year
just
extension.
to have a richer conversation
Yeah.
next year before we do it. Thinking, are there opportunities for restaurants who don't have like a cab stand out in front, or not a cab stand, sorry, a valet stand out in front, to petition for one, or to,
Yeah,
or is there a
I talked to
list?
some of them. We have kind of explored different locations. Right now, the main one is in front of La Camule, and the other one is in front of Mama Nestas. When Tallgrass was open in its heyday, we had one on 10th for a while. It wasn't used that much. When Embers has special events, sometimes we put one at 10th and State to try it. We just didn't get a lot of usage for it yet. Even the valet guy kind of came back and said, well, maybe if the Jed's building on the corner of State and 10th opens, you might have more demand for that next intersection, which is why I'm asking for the same kind of money that we had last year. I want to say the year prior, we probably spent 78 or 83, so we are actually spending less per park than we were in the past. I mean, the ROI on it's not super clean, right? It's $20, $25 a car. When you do that for all year, it's, but again, it's cheaper than building millions of dollars for a parking deck that, until we can figure out exactly where it's going to go and what the drivers are going to be. I'm just not sure this is a year to make a change, but
Yeah.
we certainly could. I'm sure the vendor would agree to a longer-term deal if we wanted, and maybe we could negotiate some kind of rate. They're holding the same rates as they did the prior year for now, so year to year is fine with me, but I'm happy to explore that with them next time if you want.
One thing that we forget about is it's a great service for us, but as far as new businesses coming in, as far as restaurants, if they were to get a loan or something like that, one of the things that are asked by the banks is their parking. But if they say, well, we have valet parking, it's always going to be there, it's consistent, the city pays for it, that's another selling point for a business to get a loan.
Yeah. Well, and we've done reports that show that we do have parking. So another
Yeah.
kind of facet of this is
And we
taking a
don't
look at.
discriminate, right? So
Yeah.
if Give Something Back Foundation opens an office and has an evening function and wants to walk half a block and use the valet, they can, right? So it's open to more than just the restaurants.
Sure.
I'm not aware of many places that have done that, but Embers sometimes has called and said, hey, I've got a special event, wedding or whatever. We've even allowed events at the Roxy in particular, have used it a couple times for weddings, and maybe it's a Tuesday or Wednesday. And as long as we're staying below our projected costs, we've authorized that a couple times, so it's more than just the restaurants.
Yeah. Where it comes to parking availability, we know we have parking available. It's really just a matter of helping people find open
Yeah,
spots,
we did the study
right?
from SP Plus, if you recall.
Yeah.
It showed that there was quite a bit of
Plenty,
inventory,
right.
but like going to the mall, right? People walk 1,000 feet from the mall to get into Macy's, but they don't want to walk more than 10 feet to go to the restaurant or shopping. So there are parking within several blocks, Metra, city-owned lots behind Embers. Obviously, we just filled one parking lot, so it'll be interesting to see if the numbers go up this year with 4 investments building with the 28 apartments. That's taken away one of our on-street parking locations, but there is still plenty of overflow around.
Lance, can we do an assessment on our wayfinding? I mean, I don't talk about like some big study. I'm just talking about an in-house, let's look at where we could put maybe some better wayfinding to tell people where parking is and that stuff, so.
Yeah, there's got to be a way that uses the cameras that are already in the lots, technology.
Yes,
some other
you had us
system.
look into a company called ParkNav, and I
Maybe not them. Like
somebody, it was like
Yeah.
15 or 16,000 a year, but they
Yeah.
have really interesting proprietary technology that you can even use the messages that your engine sends out. And we sat through a module, and it's a pretty neat service. I think it would take new wayfinding, new maps, new apps. That's something that we were discussing, and we did budget some funds in marketing to do, so the wayfinding would fall into that as well. But it's a pretty interesting service. There may be others to explore as well. But if it's less than $20,000 a year, and you can go on there and realize that there's parking spots available here, here, and there. Sometimes it's the visual that you come down State or 10th and you don't know that there's a parking lot just around the corner. And it would just take some marketing and messaging to get people used to using it, especially people that aren't from Lockport that probably frequent half of our business. But, so yeah, we have looked into that as well, for sure. And they use security cameras, they use the OEM engine technology, they use cell phone technology, all kinds of stuff, so it seemed pretty accurate, but we can share that
Yeah,
information.
I'd love to help.
Yeah.
All right, we good with consent then?
Yep.
All right, Sonny, what do you got?
Yes, Mayor and members of the City Council, the item I'm going to discuss is the third amendment to the annexation agreement for Lockport Square at Farrell Road, not to get confused with Lockport Square on the east side of east side of Edelman, but this is the west side. This is in concern with this Lot 6, and just to kind of give a refresher for those who are new to the City Council. Back in 2022, the City Council approved the concept or the final development plan for a 4-story outdoor self-storage facility. The annexation agreement was amended in 2023 to allow for the 4-story and also to allow for the 2020 building code to apply for that construction. In that, and here's another picture of that rendering. And in that annexation agreement, the lot was allowed to be rezoned to C3, but it had a completion date of June 30th, 2024. So we're past that deadline. The owner of the property has requested an extension to complete that facility to July 31, 2026. So the next step for this amendment would be, actually it should be, the Second Amendment allowed for the rezoning. The next step would be at the public hearing at the next City Council meeting. The notification for that public hearing was already published, and if there are any questions, I would be more than happy to answer them.
Okay.
Oh, it should be June, well, that's the original deadline was June 30th, 2024. Now, the new deadline would be July 31st, 2026.
Okay, all right, so public hearings next.
Yes.
Anybody have any initial questions?
Yeah, you mentioned that the original zoning change was 2022 or 2023?
It's actually 2022, I believe. I can't recall, yeah.
They were at that time committed to build this structure, and then they kind of went dead for a while.
So
They're saying 2026 might be doable?
Well, I talked to the developer today, and I asked him to kind of give me, because I knew that this question would likely come up, there were two items that occurred that delayed the start of his project. The first one was that his lender, in order to secure his loan, something similar to what Christina was talking about related to parking, required that his building increase its square footage a little bit to make their numbers work better. And the amount that they needed was consistent with a minor amendment, which can be handled at a staff level. And so they modified that. The other thing that happened was the 2015 IBC International Building Code that we currently operate under, as you might think of in the context of storage centers, in 2015, storage centers were still the one-story orange garage type thing, and not these multi-story, climate controlled, all that kind of stuff. And so the 2015 code had little to no information about climate controlled storage units, and so everything was held to the same standard as a one-story drive in between the old rows. The 2021 IBC reflects all the changes that have happened in the self-storage market. So they had to redo some of the design work, and it was specifically related to the bathrooms. So the quantity of bathrooms in the old code required that they had to have bathrooms on every floor. It would have required that they have much more than what they actually need. They have one person that works in the building, and their main bathroom was all that was required. And the 2021 code revised that previous requirement so that their design actually worked. So there was a lot of conversation back and forth between our building department, their architect, and the developer about how to resolve that thing. We brought that change to you, 10 months ago or so, and then that was included in that upsizing of the building. The other thing that happened was, obviously, as everybody knows, the interest rates. So by the time that they got all of the IBC stuff worked out, by the time that they got the building redesigned to increase the square footage, the interest rates were up at 6.5% or 7%. And the economic conditions for him at the time and his lender weren't quite right for them to start construction. So they have come back to us knowing that this expiration was going to be coming up. He anticipates starting construction in Q2 of this year. It's approximately a 14-month-ish build-out. So although we anticipate it being open by next year in 2026, he wants to give himself a couple months to make sure that he doesn't have to come back and ask for another 30 days.
Okay, thank you.
All righty. What do you guys,
It'll be set for a public hearing, so it won't be on consent.
all right. Thank you, Sonny. And then, what else you got?
Yes, the boring part, the perfunctory 6-month review of the closed executive session meeting minutes pursuant to the Illinois Open Meetings Act. Last time this was done was July 17, 2024, so that 6-month period is up. What's attached to the resolution is Schedule A, which lists the executive session meeting minutes by date and the need to keep them not released. And Schedule B is the list of meeting minutes that can be released because there's no need for, there's no confidentiality or any other information that needs to be kept from being released. So that those two meeting minutes from November 2nd, 2022 and February 15, 2023 will be released pursuant to the passage of this resolution. If there are any new members on the City Council who would like to peruse through the executive session meeting minutes, they're in my lock and key in my office if they want to do that. So if there are any questions, I would be more than happy to answer them, but we're requesting this item to be on consent for the next City Council meeting.
All right. All good with consent? All right, thank you, Sonny. All right, Lance, what do you got, CD1?
Thank you. This is related to Resolution 25002. This is the bond and initial acceptance of the site improvements for the Rose Center Lot 1A, which is the Panda Express. On July 25th, 2023, the bond was established in the amount of $31,076.10. As many of you have seen, the improvements are all completed. They've been accepted and, or been inspected, and we have approved them all. We are looking to release the bond and contingent on them putting down the 10% maintenance guarantee that carries us forward, and we're requesting this for consent or action on the next meeting.
All right, any questions? Good with consent? All right. And then CD2.
CD2 is related to the gas and wash and Resolution 25008. This bond was set up on September 29, 2023, in the amount of $442,595.50. All those improvements have been completed, inspected, and accepted by our department, and that this will also be contingent on the 12-month bond being submitted to the city. We're looking for consent or action.
All right, any trouble with consent? All right then. And then CD3.
Our last fun one is Resolution 25009. This is for the whole Rose Center, so all the internal roadways, all the parking, all the grading, everything that was done for that entire property, not just the Panda. There was a bond set up on May 22nd, 2023 for $602,949.90. They have completed all the improvements. We have inspected them all and approved them all, and request that this be put on consent or action, assuming the maintenance bond for 10% will be posted.
So how does that affect, so all the roads are in now, even if something goes in the back, how does that affect like a parking lot or anything that might go in the back?
So if they sell that lot, that individual user, just like Panda, so Panda had a portion of their own parking lot that they built, but the rest of it was built by the developer. The lots that are out in front, they have already built the front parking, but they would be responsible for building any of the parking that would be on the outlot itself. In the back, you would have a developer come in. They would likely build their own parking on their lot because there is no parking on part of the overall development improvements.
All right, so it's not going to be Rose anymore is what you're saying, or the current developer might be somebody else. So we don't have to hold a bond up for this, is what?
No, this is for the improvements that they have constructed as part of the overall center.
Okay.
If another user comes in on the back, just like what we just released for Panda, they would be required to post their own letter of credit that would protect the city from their improvements themselves.
Okay, I got it. I just want to make sure it was the overall owner, but it's okay, I got you.
Yeah, this one is the overall owner. The Panda is just Panda.
All right, we good? All right, consent on that. Thank you much. And then we'll move on to Public Works.
All right, the first one I have is for the task order of the water model and master plan for Baxter Woman. The city engaged Baxter Woman for a professional service contract to develop a hydraulic water model of our existing water system. This project aims to identify the deficiencies, provide a long-term recommendations, and evaluate operational what-if scenarios. The model will be used to assess performance, develop recommendations to address system deficiencies, and then basically assist us to kind of help make determinations in future developments. The final report will be delivered to the city, will summarize the model results, recommendations, cost estimates, and exhibits of our water models analysis. It's recommended to approve resolution number 25-003 to accept the task order for the water model and master plan from Baxter Woman in the amount of $174,400.
All right, any questions, thoughts, concerns?
I have a question. Brian, this looks at preventing a water catastrophe in terms of water not getting somewhere, and make sure it gets to where it goes regardless of demand. Is there a water loop all the way around the city to where if something goes wrong on this side, we can push water back from the other wells back to that area? Or?
Yeah, we do have we have 3 crossings that go underneath 355 currently. that interconnect that way, but basically the system is built in a loop system. And what this does is it'll allow us to run water, so it's actually like a program, and it'll show the water flowing through the system. And if there's any spot where visually you see everything connected, but maybe something's a little undersized, this will allow us to identify those sections of main that we may need to improve or increase to allow better flow to another section of town that might be a little bit less pressure worthy or flow worthy. So.
Okay, thank you.
We probably haven't done this in about 10 years, and we've had a lot of growth in the last decade, and projections for growth and stuff will also be in there. Some of the council members weren't here, but a few years back, we also added a $2 million line down Gauger Road, which helped kind of loop a lot of our systems. We have a high pressure, low pressure, medium pressure zones in different areas, and we have a lot of valves that have to be exercised, and they'll be looking at all how the water goes through all those.
Cool, very good.
All right, everybody good with consent?
Mm-hmm.
All right, what else you got, Brian?
All right, second one is we engaged Baxter Woman again for a professional service contract to prepare a facility plan report. This project will be built upon the previous completed Phase 1 and 2 of the wastewater treatment regionalization, sorry about that, studies to evaluate the existing Bonnie Bray wastewater treatment plant and the preferred alternative to regionalize Bonnie Bray and the city of Lockport's division treatment plant via a lift station. So basically it's converting Bonnie Bray, converting it to a lift station, and how force main, we're gonna get it down to be able to treat all of it. Instead of having two treatment plants in the city, we're gonna be all going down to one treatment plant where everything gets down to it. So this, at the end of this report, basically they'll allow us to prepare the documents that are needed to submit to the IEPA, so we would qualify for wastewater pollution control loan program funding. This is kind of the early phase or the last phase we need to do to get which we just got our funding for our wastewater treatment expansion. This will be the same thing to convert that into the existing Bonnie Bray treatment plant into a lift station and allow us to get the funding for it so we can get a loan basically for it to build it. So this is for approval of resolution number 25-004 to accept the task order for Bonnie Bray facility plant from Baxter and Women in the amount of $199,966.
All righty,
Question?
please.
The intent here is turn Bonnie Bray from a water treatment plant to a lift station. And in some of the documentation here, they were talking about to figure out a path to take that raw sewage and get it into a pipe and get it over to the bigger lift station on Briggs?
Actually, it'll go straight to our treatment plant. This
Straight
one
to?
will. Yeah, we will buy, it'll be like a lift station similar to Briggs. So we'll take everything that goes to Bonnie Bray now and then basically lift it straight out. So it'll be off force main all the way to our treatment plant.
Oh, continuous pipe.
The Phase 1 and Phase 2 reports kind of address some of that. So, sorry, JR. It did end up addressing some of that. So the first two phases of the report basically looked at either isolating, so if we moved on away from Bonnie Bray and we went around them, and we put in several different lift stations, how would we get that, our properties that we own, our residents, how would we get them to the treatment plant? And then Phase 2 was kind of looking at, if we brought it back, how do we put a lift station, centralize everyone into the Bonnie Bray plant, and then bring it out there. So this report will basically identify what street, where we are, the best avenues to go down to get the force main to the wastewater treatment plant.
Now that Homer is going to do their own wastewater treatment plant, now our plans here can firm up in terms of how much flow we're going to get and not have to worry about add-on, right?
Correct, yeah. We have nothing, we have no conditions to provide for the future growth of Homer on it. They've decided to pull away,
Okay,
so.
all right. Won't have to do it again. Thanks.
All right, all good with the consent?
Does any of the force main, none of that exists from Bonnie Bray to the Division Street plant, right?
Correct.
So that's part of this?
Part of that will be identifying and all that.
It says our alternatives.
Yes.
There's just one alternative, right?
Well, the alternatives would be the force main,
Like
depending
where
on
that
which
pipeline
way it
is?
goes, yes.
Okay.
So there could be different scenarios on, maybe it's going straight down Thornton, it could be going down Madison, it could be different avenues on what it would take us to actually get there, the
Sure.
easiest route. We may be able to do a force main to a section where it actually drops into a gravity feed and maybe utilize that. But those alternatives haven't been really dived into to figure out exactly. This will actually dictate where we're going to be going.
Don't worry, they ruled out just letting it flow down Thornton Street.
Just open a pit and let it go. Yeah, really. Let gravity do the work.
So this is all labor by Baxter and Woodman?
Yes.
The contract, okay.
All right, anything else? You guys okay with consent, or do you? Okay. And then one more. What else you got?
Yes, this one is Baxter Woman, but this is with their Natural Resource Division. This is for a professional service contract to do a design build for Millen Creek Reach 1 project. This project spans from Largo Vista Park, I got a map that can get the next, thank you. From the Largo Vista Park to the south and goes up to Division Street. And basically, the project will implement the best management practices on Millen Creek, including tree management and removal, riprap, geofabric stabilization, regrading, gabions, rock aprons, and introduction to native vegetation within this reach. In addition to this contract, or, I'm sorry, let me go back. Baxter Woman did submit a professional service contract for the design build not to exceed $499,500. This contract encompasses the preparation of the plans, the acquisition of all permits needed, the full construction of the project, and the 3-year stewardship period to ensure compliance with the vegetation and stream performance standards set by the IEPA. Part of this, to fund some of that cost, is that the city actually recently received a grant that is to be awarded from the Section 319 from the IEPA in the amount of $292,800, leaving the city match at $206,700. This is for recommendation to approve resolution 25-005 for the design build of Millen Creek Reach 1 from Baxter Woman for a total of $499,500, and resolution number 25006 to execute a section 319 grant between the IEPA and the city of Lockport for the total amount of $292,800.
All right. Did Brian answer all your questions? Anything else?
I got some questions.
I got some questions.
So this goes back to, I don't know what year the study was done on Millen Creek. I know we've worked on the bridge on Adams Street, right? Because of this project. I was just curious why this section was chosen. I know we had a lot of bad areas that we were supposed to get to right away. Is this the section, the worst section, or what? Or what's the?
I don't remember if it's the worst, but I do know that if you look at the guardrail on Division Street, there's a lot of erosion there, so it is a critical one. I couldn't tell you where it was from the plan.
It is, there were several areas identified. This is one of them as the critical areas. So this is one out of the few that were chosen to start with, and it's basically the southern end of it, so it's moving in the south. Some of the other sections do go through more of the rear yards, a little bit more complicated to get through and right away, so this was basically a good starting point to start. Let's move through the water, and then we're going to continue to move upstream to get through this, so.
Now, will that grant money will we be able to reapply for that in different sections as we work our way through?
Yeah, the goal would be is to, I mean, this took us about 2.5 years to get this grant. They were a little backlogged and stuff, but the 319 grants should be moving a little bit faster now, hopefully, is what we've been told. So in likelihood, as soon as we're done here, we would be looking for the next section and reapplying for the next stretches. So each reach will keep applying for this, and that's how this whole project will be funded in the long run, would be to try to get funds.
And final question, because of the lack of backyards, is that why the price is where it is? I mean, I thought we kind of stayed away from this project because we were talking millions and millions and millions. I mean, to get this for $500,000 seems pretty good. Or is this going to be like the cheap one and everything else is going to be a lot more?
It could be that. It depends on the actual needs and the requirements of what we owe. The more gabion baskets, the higher the cost. This one allows us to do a little bit more regrading because of the structures and less housing. We're able to go back and regrade a little bit and not have to worry about putting gabion baskets and worrying about where we have residents' rear yards and trying to not take up more of their rear yard with the slopes. So,
The overall Mill and Creek, I think, was estimated at almost $10 million citywide as it traverses, so this is just one little portion. So anytime we can get grant help, we'll take it.
Who'd you have, Pat?
The blue line is an existing creek that's currently there.
yes,
The retention pond on the lower right-hand side, I presume,
yes.
feeds the creek?
Yes, Largo Vista and all that comes through that, yes.
Okay. And then it crosses under division and it goes into a backyard path until it meanders its way down here and comes around the back of the building, down to the creek here. What's to say that once they clean all the obstructions out of the way, that water's going to flow quicker from this area and get into this area? Because I know we were concerned about the water flow on the bluff and, deteriorating the bottom there. Is that
Yeah.
going to be an issue?
Water will move a little bit easier, but it would be less pollutant, so we're not going to be carrying the erosion part of it downstream. So you won't actually have the settlement within this stretch. So normally, if the ideal way to start it would be from downstream, moving upstream, because that way you're covering it as you get down, but you're not silting in what you're doing. So when starting here, we're not going to be, if we started at the down here, downtown, we would end up only continue to build it, but the silt and everything else would be coming back in. So we'd end up going back and having to re-dredge it later. So this will allow it to, as it goes flow clean and through it, but really it's just to stop the settlement from getting within and polluting the waters is what the overall goal. It's not really a flood management part of the project, it's really just to stop pollution of the water system. So we're stopping erosion and all the sediments from going down and unfortunately getting down into our streams and creeks.
When is that? I think I had another note in here. So that's just for them to come back? I mean, you've already given us an estimate of that, or is that part of the whole overall thing?
Which one?
For the creek?
This stretch? Yeah, this is the whole design build of it.
Yeah.
So this will include everything. So what they did is, we have a preliminary plan that's kind of sketched out right now. That got us the permit and got us the cost to come up with, so we went in for the grant. Now what we're actually doing is, once they reached out to us in the grant, probably about 8 months ago, we reviewed the documents and reconfirmed the pricing to make sure it still matches it, which we adjusted the price a little bit after 2.5 years, and this is the final dollar amount that it would take to do it. And why it's a design build is that when you get into certain bends, you may need to stretch some of the riprap or loosen it, and this allows us that flexibility to work with staff. They'll work with my staff to oversee what sections to get done and stuff, so, and where we should stop the limits and everything.
Is that going to be a shovel-ready project for this year, or?
Yeah, this will be, as soon as everything gets fired up, we'll submit the documents, we'll have the mayor sign them after the next council meeting, and then get them executed by the state, and then we're hoping that this project will be completed by the end of the year.
Nice. Thank you.
About how many other sections are there roughly?
A lot. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. You could break it up into many sections,
Yeah, right.
unfortunately, because it's just,
Right.
this is an easy turn because it allows us to stop at a roadway.
Right.
The next section could just be, depending on the cost, when you start diving into it, it could go from Division to Summit or Summit to the next street. So it's just, as you go from street to street, each section was pretty substantial, so.
I just had a memory, to see if anyone else remembers. We were talking about Division. I'm starting to remember why this was more critical than others. Because the roadway on Division was eroding, and we contacted the county and tried to get them involved, and they were kind of like,
Yeah. I think this has to be on
All right, you guys good with consent then?
I would recommend it being on action since it's design and build, just to be cautious, have the supermajority and have the mayor vote.
All right. Action is-
Question for you, Brent. So if you look like a half a block north of where the blue line ends, is there another feed that comes in from the east there?
Other feed. I think that the rear yards go that way?
Yeah.
Yeah, the rear yards end up coming in, so that's just like more of the rear yard drainage.
Okay.
But it does go up, it bends, goes
But
towards
it's not like
Summit.
another creek that
It's not another
feeds up to
creek.
Mill,
No, it's
right?
not a full creek. It's more of just the rear yard portion of that.
And then, in the assessments they've done so far, have they mitigated any risk of like that part running or being able to carry maybe more water more quickly that would introduce a flood risk and like a heavy rain into those backyards?
Yeah, no, everything will still stay in because we're not doing anything with volume or changing
Carrying
the
capacity.
capacity of it. It's really just kind of addressing the banks of the stream.
To prevent erosion?
Yes, that's all. Yeah, this is not a flood where we're trying to do compensatory storage or anything of that nature. So.
Thanks.
All right, friends, all good questions, thank you. If there's nothing else, then we can do a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Is there some open comments? You guys here just to observe, or? Okay, sorry. Motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All right. Pat and Susie, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you much.
All right, off to a basketball game.
I'm thinking, I feel like my house